Okay, so in this class we are going to study about the Ampere's circuit law. This is very vital because Ampere's circuit law, or rather you can say the modified version of this Ampere circuit law, is also known as one of the Maxwell equations that of our concern, right? So we will study this Ampere's law, and also we will study about what are the modification that can be made by using this Ampere law and what Maxwell did, and also we will see the laws, what the law states and the proof, that means how this Ampere circuit law can be proved. To start with, let us learn the law first. The law is, let me write it here, the line integral. I have drawn this figure, and I'll explain this figure to you also. First let us see what the law states. The line integral of magnetic field induction, also commonly known by this expression B, around any closed path. See here, one circular path is there, so this path is closed one, there is no gap in between, so it can be considered as a closed path in vacuum is equal to mu naught times, mu naught is the permeability of free space, mu naught times the total current, that is total current I, that is passing through the closed path, right? So that means you can see the line integral of magnetic field induction B around any closed path in vacuum. So around any closed path means you can consider this is a circular path where some amount of current is passing. So due to the current which is passing through this line, we can consider this as I is passing through this line, closed lines. So some magnetic field will be generated. So this magnetic field which is generated due to this closed line is equal to mu naught times the total current passing through it. That means the amount of magnetic field induction B, this black colored B, and this blue is actually point A and point B, right? So this magnetic field induction B around any closed path where some current is I is passing, so we can say that total amount of magnetic field induction B around any closed path in vacuum is equal to mu naught times the total amount of current that is passing through the closed line, that is I, right? So or conversely we can write this in terms of expression, we can write this as closed surface integral of B dl. This is as per the law, we can write closed surface integral of B dl is equals to mu naught time of the current that is passing, that is mu naught I. So this is the representation of Ampere circuit law, right? So you understood that what this Ampere circuit law tells. Now let us see whether this is true or not, or rather we will see how to prove this Ampere circuit law, right? So from applications of this Biot-Savart law that you have previously studied, so we know from the application of Biot-Savart law that we know that B is given as mu naught by 4 pi to 2I by R, or we can say this is equals to mu naught I by 2 pi R, right? This was from application of Biot-Savart law, we have arrived to this equation previously. So we can say that we know this equation. So from here, now let us find out the line integral of B. So we are going to find out the line integral of B around this complete circular path of radius R. See, I have taken this radius R from the center point to the circumference. I have taken this as radius R. So this will be equals to the line integral of B around this complete circular path of radius R will be equals to closed line integral of B dl, that will be that we can write this is equal to closed line integral of b dl cos of 0 degree. Now why this 0 degree is coming? 0 degree is coming because you can see the tangential component of dl and b, both dl, this dl and b both are in same direction, right? So both are in same direction means they are in within the same straight line. They are they are in the same straight line, right? So if they are in same straight line, the angle will be 0 degree between them. So that is why you am writing this as 0 degree. So this will be equals to closed line integral of BDL, right? So now this BDL, I have got this expression here. Simply put the value. So you can get this as closed surface integral of, you just put the value mu naught I by 2 pi r, right? DL. From here, if you can calculate, just take out the constant part, and so we can write this equals to mu naught is constant, I is constant, 2 pi r is constant. So closed surface integral of dl, right? Now that comes from here, we can arrive at this expression as mu naught I by 2 pi r into 2 pi r. Why 2 pi r? DL is actually through the total circumference of the circular path that we are considering. So we can say that DL integral, surface integral, closed line integral of DL will be equals to 2 pi r. So that means, therefore we can write up to here, therefore we can write this closed surface integral of BDL will be equals to mu naught I. And see, this was the same that the Ampere's law states, circuit law states. So this is your final expression of Ampere circuit law. This is equals to this. So this can be considered as the proof of this Ampere circuit law, right? Once we get this idea about this Ampere circuit law, so we are not going to find out what is the relation between J and H. This is very important because from here only we will be able to arrive at the very important conditions, and we can also see what is the contribution of Maxwell, right? So let us see first the relation between J and H from Ampere circuit law, right? Now previously we have learned from Ampere circuit law, previously we had seen law, what we have seen, that closed integral of B dl is equals to mu 0 I, right? So this was the expression that we previously had. So we can write, or we can write from here, that closed line integral of L H dl will be equals to I. Why? This is because simply H is equals to B by mu, right? So we can write, because of this, since this is equal to, so from here we can arrive at this expression also. Now let us consider, let J be the current density. Remember this, that J is always the representation in electromagnetics. J is always the representation of the current density, right? So J be the current density distributed through the surface, through the surface. Surface means what? See, I have drawn that figure. So if this was the figure like this, so throughout the surface, let us consider that J is the current density. Is distributed throughout this surface, this external surface, right? So we can call this I. Therefore, we can call I is equals to closed surface integral of JDS, right? So what amount of current, total amount of current, is the amount which is actually stored at the surface in terms of current density J. So now, so I is equals to JDS, closed surface integral of JDS. I is also equals to closed line integral of HDL, right? So since both are I, so you can equate these two. So let us name this equation number 1 and equation number 2. So from 1 and 2, what we can write? We can write that closed line integral of H dl will be equals to closed surface integral of JDS, right? From these two expressions. Now we are going to apply the Stokes law. We have discussed previously the Stokes law. If you don't remember, you just can go back and check what the Stokes law states. So we can write okay. So we can applying now applying Stokes law. We will apply the Stokes law here, right? So what was that? The Stokes law was the representation. Why? I mean, by the help of Stokes law, we can convert this line integral to surface integral. If you can remember that one theorem was there which we call Gauss divergence theorem, which gives us the conversion or relation between surface to volume, and Stokes law is the another one. I have told you that Stokes law gives a relation between line and surface. So I'm simply applying this Stokes law in this left hand side so that I can transfer it into a surface integral, right? So applying Stokes law, we will get the surface integral of del cross H ds. So it is now converted into in terms of S. L is converted in terms of S, and the left hand side remains. So it will be closed surface integral of J ds. So from this equation we can write that del cross H is equals to J. So this is our arriving at the final expression. So this is the relation between J and H. This is an extremely important relation. You have to remember this, because in our discussion which will be coming next, so we will apply always this particular expression or the relation, right? Once we have some idea about the Ampere circuit laws, so we will now see what are the concept of magnetic scalar as well as vector potential, right? I have written it here in magnetic vector potential, but we will also see what magnetic scalar potential are. So let's start from here. So from Ampere's law, what we got closed line integral of H dl is equals to I, right? So this was from Ampere circuit law that we got. Now let us suppose if the path does not enclose the total current I. So what will happen in that case? So if the path does not enclose the current I, right? So what will happen? Only the value of current I equals to will be 0. So we can write in that case this will be H dl will be equals to 0. Since there is no current, so I equals to 0. So thus we can write, this H equals to minus del V, right? Or actually del U, sometimes it is representation will be minus del of U. Now why this is I'm writing it here? That is because it comes from the concept that we have did earlier. Since from EDL, this is E is electric field intensity, EDL is equals to 0. There what we got? We got E equals to minus del V, right? So if from the closed line integral of this electric field intensity equals to 0, then we obtained earlier in our earlier classes that E will be equals to minus del of V. Here V is the potential. Can you remember? That is electric potential. So if that was true, so in case of magnetic field also, we can write H equals to minus of del of U, right? So this U, this function U is actually known as magnetic scalar potential, right? So we are talking about magnetic scalar and vector potentials. So this U is your magnetic scalar potential, right? So now we will see what magnetic vector potential is. So now simply we will take the curl from this equation. So now by taking curl operator, or by considering curl operator, taking curl, we can write from here del cross H is equals to minus of del cross del U. We have taken curl in both sides. So from here we can write that del cross H will be equals to 0. Why? Because del cross del U is equals to 0. Why? That is also the reason is curl of gradient of any scalar quantity is 0. So that was the reason. So but we have what we have, but we have del cross H is equals to Z. You remember this expression? We got it from the relation between J and H, just we did before. So del cross H is equals to Z we got. So we can conclude that therefore concept of U is valid. This concept of U is valid only in regions where current density J is equals to 0. Why? Because see, right hand side comes 0. So now del cross H equals to J we know. Now here we got del cross H equals to 0. So we can conclude that J equal to 0 because both in the right hand side. So we can assume that this, or we can conclude that the concept of U is valid only in regions where current density J is 0. But this cannot be, this is actually a limitation, or I'd say that this cannot be true in all cases. I mean, in some cases we may find that J unequals to 0. So in that case what will happen? Let us see what will happen if the J is equals to 0. So this is the reason why we have taken some different consideration, right? So because of this, I'm keeping up to the, okay, let me count it. So because of this limitation, we need some potential function which will not have such restrictions, because the restriction was because it was only for J equals to 0 it was valid, but we don't need that limitation, right? So let us write the whole thing. Because of this limitation we need potential function which will not have such restrictions. Such restrictions here means previously our discussion was only confined for J equals to 0, but now we will not consider for J equals to 0 only, we will consider for J unequals to 0 also, right? Such restrictions, right? So now, let us consider, to solve this problem, let us consider this magnetic flux. This is magnetic flux density del dot B is equals to 0. Now we know that del cross A actually is equals to 0. So therefore we can write B is equals to del cross A, right? See, del dot B equals to 0. So for B we have put this del. Now we also know, previously we have know this expression we have done. So del cross of del dot of del cross A, that is your here divergence of a curl of a vector is equals to 0. Here del dot B is equals to 0 and divergence of curl of a vector is also equal to 0. So we can equate the right hand side and the left hand side also. So we can conclude that B is equals to this del cross A. This is actually the solution, and here this A is called the magnetic vector potential, right? Sometimes in examinations they ask about define vector potential. They give 3 marks for that. So if they give 3 marks, so you have to, from, if they give 2 marks, so you can start from here also. I mean, if it is 1 mark, so it is better that you start from the previous line, from J equals to 0. From that portion you have to write, and then you write these things. But if they provide 3 marks, you have to write the whole thing. Anyway, so this A is called the magnetic vector potential, and the unit of it is Weber per meter, or WB per m. This is the unit. This is the concept of the magnetic vector potential, right? So up to this class this is okay. So we'll continue from the other part from the next class.